So today we're going to talk about the pen tool in Photoshop. If you've taken Adobe Illustrator or you're familiar with Illustrator, there's a pen tool in Adobe Illustrator as well. So the pen tool lives over here on your toolbar. Right here, I'm going to select it, pen tool. If you hold down the mouse, you have, some secret options like adding and subtracting stuff. We'll get into that later. What we use the pen tool for is more intermediate and to cut stuff out very, very precisely. So if you've had this sensation of using the magnetic lasso tool or some of the other lasso tools where you kind of cut stuff out but it wasn't exact and you had to go back and do it, or let's say you moved your mouse and it followed you everywhere and you might have gotten kind of annoyed at the magnetic lasso tool. It won't even let me go. I have to hit the escape button. There you go. So the pen tool is going to be the more advanced version of how to make a selection, and this is the tool that's really going to push you from beginner to intermediate if you can master this tool. So what I'm going to do here first is kind of zoom into my subject matter here. And then what you're going to see over here on the right, my workspace is set to essentials right now, default. Let's just kind of reset that. And you'll notice resetting essentials is going to always have your path palette over here. You might be asking, what's a path palette? The path palette is what's going to show us visually where our pen tool is drawing a path. So what I'm going to do with the pen tool is draw an entire path around what I want to cut out, make a selection, and then mask it. But you'll notice I have all these editing features that I don't have available with the other selection tools. I'm going to tear the path tool off up to the side so you guys can kind of see it as I'm going. I'm going to head back to the layer palette. So I'm going to make sure I'm on my bare file. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the right, grab the pen tool, and I'm just going to start. So the way the pen tool works is kind of like connecting the dots. So I'm just going to kind of click it. I'm moving my hand around here. And then you can do this entire pen tool like straight and jagged if you want to. Or if you click your pen with your mouse and then you kind of turn your mouse at the same time that you're holding it down, you'll notice these little handles pop up, which let you draw curves as you kind of go around the object. So what I'm doing here is getting a little bit of a closer outline, but unlike the magnetic lasso tool, I can go back if I would like to and edit some of my anchor points as I want. So you'll notice if I move my cursor, I don't have this weird attachment like I have with the magnetic lasso tool. I'm kind of free. And if I wanted to go back right now, I can kind of mouse over my dots and you'll see this little minus sign. That would say like, oh, let's get rid of that anchor point, and see how it went away. You can also do more advanced things like use your option key to switch and toggle back and forth. See how I just, my cursor goes from a pen to an arrow. If I click the command key, that turns into an arrow. So watch, can kind of go back here and just adjust some of these tiny, tiny things. I haven't even finished drawing my path, but I can go back and kind of edit. Oh, I need to fix this. Oh, I need to do that. But over here, I can still just kind of start drawing again. And here's my path continuing along as I decided I was going to pick it back up. So this tool has more advanced features which let you kind of control it and have a little more options than just kind of the lasso tool or the magnetic lasso tool. And especially more options than the magic wand or the quick select tool. So I'm just kind of going in here right now and just kind of clicking through. And again, I will still probably go back and edit, but I'm just going to kind of get around this bear. Now, do you guys notice off to the side up here, this path palette, what's happening as I go? When I started using the pen tool, that path palette magically appeared. So that is actually showing you, if you were to kind of double click on it or zoom in, the area that my path is going in. So I'm going to go a little quicker and just kind of go all around this guy, a little rougher, because I might still go back and edit the path, but you might have less editing if you do this a little more precise. You'll see I've got some grass, just kind of going down here. Click, 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 click. I can kind of do this pretty fast. And then you'll notice down here, I've got this shadow happening. I'm going to have to go back later and add in another shadow to make my bear look realistic. Or I might decide to mask out the shadow that's already there from when he was originally standing there. This bear was actually, I think he was photographed at a wild animal park up in Sequim, Washington, if I recall correctly. Okay, so I'm almost kind of back to my path. what you'll notice when I get right here, do you guys see how my path is all dots? So before I close my path, I can just really quickly look around and go, oh, do I want to move any of these points? I still can. I hit the command key and my cursor turns into an arrow. If I hit the command key, and I believe on a PC it's a control key, so command key on a Mac. So again, I can go with a little arrow and kind of just move some of these around before I really commit to this path. I'm just kind of grabbing with the arrow. Now, back here at the first path, the last path point, I'm going to connect them. Watch what happens. Connecting the last point to the first point. Here, did you notice how my path just turned blue? So now my path is technically closed, which means if I started clicking over here, undo, it would start a new path. So right now, my path, I can still kind of edit it. If I hold the command key, and I can go up, no. See, watch what happened. When I hit the command key and I move the whole thing moved now, because now I'm in a different mode. So now, this is where it gets tricky. I have to click the Option key, and it turns into an arrow, and I can move and adjust these tiny little anchor points. So next, now that I've drawn a path, let's kind of zoom out, and you can see I've got this kind of set of blue dots all around this bear, okay? So now I'm going to head up to my path palette and look at some options I've got. Now my goal here was to cut this bear out. That was why I was doing it. But I could also do it to change the color or make an adjustment layer, all sorts of things once I've selected the path around my object. So if I kind of go over here and I click Make Selection, watch what happens. It's going to ask me, what kind of selection do you want to make? Again, this is much more intermediate features. And it's going to ask if I want to feather it. That means if I want to make my mask a little softer, I'm going to just leave it at 0 for now. I'm going to click OK. And what happened is, you guys can see, I now have a marquee around this bear. Okay, so that means basically I can change the color, add an adjustment layer, or mask out the entire background of the bear. So let me undo that really fast so you can see it again. So I've got my path. A shortcut, if I don't want to go over here and click Make Selection, is I can hold my, I believe it's the Option key on a Mac, or it might be the Command key. Hold the keyboard down, and Command key on a Mac, hold it down, click on the path, and that's a shortcut to make that little magic wand marquee appear. So again, now that I have the mask, what would I like to do next? What I would like to do right now is not apply an adjustment layer, but if I did apply an adjustment layer, it would mask out the same area. I'm going to just go over here to the bottom to my quick mask tool here and click it, and there went the background to the bear. Everybody see that? I'm going to hit undo, and I'm going to show you another way to do it. Layer, mask. Now you can say reveal the selection or hide the selection. So if I say reveal selection, again, that did the same thing. It revealed my selection, which was the bear. I'm going to hit undo. Or I can say layer, mask, hide selection, which is going to obviously hide my bear. That's not what I want to do, but just so you know that you can do that. Or, like I said before, you can apply an adjustment layer, and automatically it's got the adjustment set for the shape of my bear. I can kind of come over here. Not that I want the bear to be different colors. He can be this, he can be, whatever. You can do all sorts of things once you have a selection set up for your mask. Let me undo, window. I'm going to go to history really fast. I'm going to undo what I did, which was apply an adjustment layer. I'm getting back to where I was. So I have created a path, I've made it into a selection, and now I'm ready to apply a mask. We're just going to go down here, and we're going to click mask. And here we go. I now have a bear. He's cut out of his background, and now I have this background picture that he's in. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see it a little better. And now I'm kind of ready to go back and either edit this mask, or he needs a shadow. I kind of need to line it up. Immediately you notice something wrong with this photograph, which is, if I go back to my original bear photo, and I can see it over here to the right, the shadow to the bear is over here. Do you guys remember that? It's on this side, whereas the shadows of my trees are on the left. They're on the other side. So I'm just going to do kind of a funny little trick here. Edit, transform. I'm going to flip my bear horizontally. Now the light's going to match a little. Do you guys see that? You might not want to do this on a portrait because people will know that you flipped their face, but an animal, people likely won't know. So now I'm going to kind of zoom in, and I've cut out my bear with the pen tool. However, I still might need to refine my mask. So again, this is more intermediate. If I want to refine my mask, what happens if I double click my mask? Enter select and mask. You're going to enter into this whole other mask editing realm, which is going to let you kind of do edge detection and kind of transparency and smooth. I don't know, can you guys see what's going on here? Let's see. See how I'm clicking the feather down here? See how my bear is getting a little fuzzier on the border where it was really sharp? So I've got these kind of intermediate advanced tools happening once I've made a cutout. Now this is gonna be too much, obviously. But you can fuss with this and kind of play with this too and get a feel for how this works. When I'm done, I'm gonna click OK. And you can see the bear got a little fuzzier on the edges than it was. If I hit undo, you'll see it. Undo, select, and mask. See how it's kind of a harsh edge right here? The other way you can do this, of course, is with our paintbrush edits, where I'm going to grab a nice, soft, little fluffy brush. Wow, I have all these brushes up here all of a sudden. And the way to do this by hand is just black blacks out, white reveals. With a soft, fluffy brush, I can go in here and do this by hand if I want to. You can see my opacity is set to 59. But this is just one more way to kind of just edit your projects. So I personally like to use the paintbrush method rather than the Photoshop select and mask, only because I can't go back and edit it as easily. And I've been working this way for a long time, so I like to do it with the paintbrush. Now, I've got that shadow that was down here. If I want to, I can also, this is more advanced, drop my opacity down to about 20% and kind of paint in that shadow that was, you guys recall there was like a shadow in the bushes or on the grass. And I can kind of go back here and paint it. Looks like I can paint it back in if I want to. I'm trying to blend it. The goal with this project is to make it look like this bear was actually here off the side of the road in Big Sur at this park rather than wherever he was originally at a wild animal park. So that is basically how you use the pen tool. What you guys will notice in this particular file is there's also a bird. If you would like to also cut out the bird, you could also cut out the bird, change the color, and obviously you need to fix the size of the bird to do that. But go ahead and turn on your computers, open up the file, and get started using the pen tool.